What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane podcast, episode number 57 today for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Joined with your usual host, myself, but once again we have a bit of the, I guess it's almost like the race team almost. It's becoming Ryan and Justin once again, with Callum and Tom out at work currently. But guys, the Hungarian Grand Prix, not an all-time classic, but there definitely were a couple of decent, tasty moments in that race to talk through there. Obviously, starting off with lap one, interesting stuff there with the two Red Bull guys. I know Ryan is absolutely thrilled.
Interesting,
yeah. He's absolutely thrilled about how that went for his Red Bull team there. And I guess Justin and myself were pretty happy. I was very happy to see Sainz go up the order from 10th to 6th, but even better for Perez was 13th to, what was it, 7th, I think, or 8th? It was
8th,
yeah, very, very nice move through the first few turns. But then, yeah, not so much for Red Bull. I guess we'll go with that first, because that's the main one. So, Ryan, what went on, man? I mean, Verstappen had all the space in the world.
Explain your team.
And then...
I was speechless. Literally speechless. What happened? He had, as you just said, enough room to easily just I'm just going to do it with my wheel. You could have easily just done a little bit more angle like that. Not just a tiny bit.
We've got active demonstration.
Demonstration right here, lads. Like, I don't know what the hell he was doing. Like, he could have just backed off a little bit, you know, let Ricciardo through. Just do what the Mercedes did today, which I'm probably going to guess we're going to talk about later on.
Yeah.
And maybe do like the switchy. But nope, Verstappen's that little young'un who likes to be aggressive a bit and basically wants to try and beat his teammate. And it's just bit him in the backside and it took him out. And he got a deserving 10-second penalty. I saw people saying, it's a racing incident, all that. Nah. I don't know why.
I don't agree with that either.
I'm literally furious right now. Like, this is going to cause a bit of a rift in Red Bull. I can just see now. This is the foundation blocks for a civil war going to happen in Red Bull right now. But I'm literally frustrated right now.
I mean, Ricciardo was very obliging. I mean, he left him more than enough room, I would say, even.
Yeah.
Like, there was room to spare
like,
in
how
there.
much does he have to go across? He would have gone off the track completely just so Verstappen just, like, locks up and says, oh, okay, mate, cheers, you know.
Well, you would have had to do a Hulkenberg, basically, with K-Mag, just go off on the grass, really. So, yeah, and really unfortunate, with especially with the tweet he made yesterday, whereas I'm not going to finish in 6th. It's like, yeah, mate, you're going to finish a lot lower than that. You're going to DNF, unfortunately.
I'm not going to finish.
I will say, obviously when Ricciardo had his spin, fair play to all the drivers behind to avoid it. It was extremely close. If you saw Palmer's,
did a
oh
really
my
good
lord, I literally, like, a little bit of poo came out.
Scary stuff.
Palmer, so. But yeah,
no, that was very good from Palmer. Very, very, so kudos to him. And, he finished ahead of Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg obviously retired, so not often a phrase we hear too many times, so fair enough. But yeah, no, apart from that, as we said, I just mentioned, turn 1 and 2, Perez and Sainz making some good gains there. And then really in the end of it, it was another solid day for Force India, another double points. I think it's the 11th now, 11th race in a row, I think, or 11th race this season at least, not in a row, this season. So very, very solid stuff for Force India there. Once again, I mean, I've run out of stuff to really say about them this season, really. They're just doing such a solid job for the team like them, a privateer team, basically. And especially with seeing where Williams are now, like, that's also very surprising. Williams have literally dropped off the face of the planet now. Like, where's that pace gone? Like, literally, go to Baku, crazy race, and then now it's like they've forgotten how to, like, make a fast car almost.
Maybe they're thinking towards next year. I think some of the teams are now starting to plan ahead for 2018. Like, Mclaren apparently are starting now, obviously apart from the engine scenario with them, but I think now is the time for some of the midfield runners to start thinking about next year and start planning ahead. You'll see, like, maybe the Ferrari Mercedes definitely going to do the set. We'll wait until maybe near the end of the season, and then I think Red Bull now will have to start work straight after the summer break, personally, if they've got any chance with next year and keeping at least one of their drivers, even both of them, next year. We'll have to see.
For sure. Yeah. Well, you mentioned Ferrari and Mercedes. Obviously, it was a tense day, I would say, for them today, especially for Ferrari. I think what the F1 summed it up quite nicely with a tweet before. I think it might have been Tommy, actually. Just, if Ferrari, obviously it worked out for them. They got the 1-2, so you can kind of say they did that strategy correctly. Vettel extends his lead by quite some way, so genius. But if it hadn't have turned out that way, they would have looked very stupid, because at one point Hamilton did look like he was rapidly closing as soon as he was let through by Bottas. Obviously then classic Hungary, dirty air hit, traffic hits, and it was pretty much a classic Hungaroring sort of race, really, towards the end. Like 20 laps of tension, but nothing much happening there.
Yeah, they say Hungary is Monaco without the barriers, but there's definitely always a barrier directly behind the car in front of you.
Oh yeah,
Hungary, especially with
that's a good way to put it.
Especially with the amount of downforce that's going on these 2017 cars. I mean, I think I actually didn't watch qualifying live. I didn't feel like waking up at 7 a.m. for that one. I ended up watching it back afterwards. But you know, when I was watching qualifying, I wasn't really considering the fact that, you know, this race might be super boring. I hadn't really been thinking about it, and you know, in retrospect, if I had put any sort of common sense to it, I think, you know, I probably would have seen this coming. But yeah, definitely not, especially because recent Hungarian Grand Prix, the past like few years or so, I want to say since 2014, have all been really good. Like 2014, 2015, and 2016 were all really good races. And you know, before that, there was some lackluster races from the Hungaroring for sure. But yeah, this kind of went back to that, and it's unfortunate because, you know, when the Hungaroring puts up a good race, it's really good.
Yeah, it's one of those tracks where it's like, especially with turn one, you know, we saw 2014 with Ricciardo and 15 as well. Like, it's that sort of track where if the driver does have the opportunity to go for it, usually ends up in a very tasty battle. I mean, we saw a little glimpse of it. You know, Alonso made a really lovely move around the outside of Sainz into what was turn two. Yeah, turn 2 into 3. Really lovely move around the outside. And that was really the biggest battle in the middle of that race. A lot of it was just then talking about Vettel's issues, which was odd because I don't know if you two saw otherwise. I think it was like literally as soon as Vettel was like lifted onto the ground, like with the jacks, he immediately noticed that issue. So the entire time he had that issue, it's like they just gave him a half-broken car overnight, which is really surprising, actually shocking. More that actually Vettel was managing to keep through. Obviously, Kimi, I don't know. Do we think if Kimi had just been a bit more aggressive and kind of bummed Ferrari's radio off a little bit earlier, he could have actually got that win potentially?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. If he had stayed out, because I mean, he said it himself. You know, he could have stayed out longer, and clearly he had the pace. And clear air was everything in the race today, as we saw with Alonso's fastest lap, as we saw with Verstappen closing in on the pack. Clear air is what really led to pace. So yeah,
I think this just clearly shows and confirms that Raikkonen is not who he was years ago when he was super competitive and winning races. Now he's just second fiddle now to Vettel, and
it's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, really, because I really do like Kimi as a guy. Like, he's funny on track with the radios and stuff, but he's quick, and he's just basically now just the second fiddle, and it's a real shame, really. And if he's going to stay beyond this season, I don't know. Personally, I don't think he should. I feel maybe get someone else to get in that seat now and see, because it doesn't help them in the constructors as well. Obviously, minus this race, if you go back a few races, Raikkonen's not been as good. But I mean, the Ferrari looked pretty good today, and he showed. I think today also showed that Raikkonen has got that caliber of pace to be up there fighting with like Vettel and Hamilton. So it's just a shame, really, and I think a lot of Finnish fans and Kimi fans will agree that the fact that he's had his chance and it's gone now, and which is a shame, really. It's really sad, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he's not lost a heap of speed from when he was like in his limelight. It's almost just like mentality wise, I think it's just a bit easy for him to accept the radio call from Ferrari to be like, right, no, we're going to hold station at the moment. Vettel's pushing, so don't worry about it. And it's almost like he just believes it too quickly. Like, oh yeah, no, yeah, we are pushing. We're still trying to get Vettel. Whereas really it was a case of Kimi, just sort of hold station. We think we can just crawl to the end just about, which worked out. I mean, team-wise, Ferrari played it to a T. Like, that is literally a perfect race for them. The 1-2, also with Hamilton. You know, let's touch on that. Hamilton, major respects to him, to be fair to him today, to let Bottas back through. I think Brundle put it quite nicely on Twitter that, although very, very respectful, major props to him and the team, it looks really stupid out there considering Vettel got the first place. So
I agree with that.
I'm half and half. Like, I'm like, okay, GG's Hamilton, that's really respectful. But also at the same time, these are actually one of those points where I wouldn't mind you being a bit of a D-bag to Bottas, really, because you've lost a lot of points now.
Right, he has
points.
more points, than Bottas. I mean, it's not like Bottas isn't involved in the championship. It's just that he's further away from leading the championship than Hamilton is. So, I mean, I would have totally been fine if Hamilton didn't give the place back, or if the team told him, you know what, just stay there. But like you said, fair play to him. It says a lot about his character. It's definitely a good nice thing, but I don't know if that's going to win him the championship.
It's a tough call there. I mean, it's always any other day, any kind of other situation. If Hamilton hadn't done that, then you just know Twitter would have blown up and everything like that. But on a day like this, where you can clearly see that, I think the clearest ever this season, that Ferrari want to try. They obviously want the championship so badly, to the point where now I think their go-to plan every single race is putting all their eggs into Vettel's basket, giving him all the best chance to get all the points they can. Obviously, if Kimi does the job and gets second, or as best as he can, that's also going to tick the box for the constructors. But in some of the drivers, that's Ferrari's tactic at the moment, and for Mercedes to, at this stage, still being very, very fair to Bottas and Hamilton, that may just shoot themselves in the foot, kind of doubly, basically. So debates there for Mercedes fans, I guess. If you are a Mercedes fan, do let us know your thoughts on that. If you're a Bottas or Hamilton one, I guess it's a very interesting dynamic, rather than Ferrari fans are usually, you have the Vettel fans, and then the Kimi ones are basically having to go just sigh pretty much every race and just accept that a lot of the time Ferrari's calls, whether intentional or not, have kind of hindered Kimi's progress sometimes in races. So away from the top fight then, I'm kind of going down the order. Let me take a look at the race results actually then. So we got Verstappen 5th, pretty quiet race for him. Maybe could have done something, without the 10-second penalty, he would have actually been there in the middle of the Mercedes car. So he also shot himself in the foot in hindsight.
It was good to see as well that he did, 42 laps on super softs on
him and Van Dorn also did, I think 40-odd laps on Supersofts. We got madness. Absolutely crazy. And on Van Dorn's note, double points for McLaren. Alonso 6th place. Obviously, talked about his overtake on Sainz. You want to say something?
And also fastest lap of the race as well.
Yes.
What? Scenes.
Yes.
What?
Scenes. That is the headline. That should be the headline in the press. Fernando Alonso.
Praise you, Alonso.
I don't know if you two saw it, but the tweets. There's been tweets going out of Alonso on the deck chair.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
So good.
Liberty Media not only painted Alonso a mosaic of him on the deck chair to say happy holidays for the F1 break, then they actually had a wooden deck chair put onto that mosaic, and Alonso actually got onto it and held a sign saying happy holidays. That man plus Liberty Media just equals goals. Those two together, PR golden.
What a good way to spend his birthday this weekend.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, great. It's a great birthday weekend for him. Obviously, great qualifying, decent race, the best they could have got from McLaren today with him in 6th place. Solid job there. And then that's just a little icing on the cake there, just a little bit of banter after the race. Alonso's always up for it. Such a great.
He even finished on the lead lap too.
Yeah,
which is, I mean, impressive.
It just showed the fastest second sector overall of the entire race. Then, again, there's no better argument than a Hungarian Grand Prix in the last 2 years for McLaren. Just get a better engine and you'll be right there once again.
It just shows that their chassis is impressive.
It's good. I mean, just like Spain, with Alonso's qualifying in Spain, again, chassis circuits, they show that car is good. It's just literally that power unit and the power delivery around corners that are a little bit more high speed.
McLaren, sack Honda off. Literally sack them off and get that Merc engine in,
Yeah. I've just seen McLaren tweet out a tweet about heading into the summer break, and it's a close-up shot of Alonso on the deck.
Yep, I saw that too.
It's absolutely great. I love that stuff. That's what F1 needs to be about. A little bit more fun. Don't take yourself too seriously. That's great. After Alonso, it was Carlos Sainz in 7th place. I was very happy about that. Solid drive from him, I felt. Toro Rosso really has just been going backwards since, I would say, Monaco, really. And Sainz, obviously, 3 retirements in the last 4. So very, very unlucky. So I'm very happy, personally, for him to get 7th. As we mentioned, Perez and Ocon, again, just the duo, 8th and 9th. Once again, very, very solid. Justin, you'll be happy with that.
Right near each other, but with Sergio ahead, just like I like it.
Yeah, solid, just ticking all the boxes, really. And then Van Dorn gets a decent 10th place. Went very long on the tyres and then overshot the pit stop. So that actually brought him behind Ocon. So he could have actually potentially been fighting for 9th. But Stoffel, he's done a good job this weekend. Unfortunate in the race a little bit, but in qualifying matched Alonso just about, was right there with him. So good day for him there to kind of, for once in the season, really, looking like he's very, very comfortable alongside Alonso. After the top 10, it was Kevin Magnussen 11th place. Little interesting move with Hulkenberg that we mentioned before. That got no penalty. Just any thoughts on that? I feel like it was almost... It didn't get a penalty just for the fact they didn't make contact, but it was very similar to Verstappen and Ricciardo almost. So I feel like that was a little bit weird from the FI not to reprimand Magnussen.
Also, Sainz and Alonso after the safety car restart as well, when Sainz chopped off and...
But they all got to continue racing, I think.
I got that.
The main difference. Ricciardo was done. Like, that's the end of his day.
Yeah.
So that's the only real difference. Yes, very similar incidents, but with very different outcomes.
Yeah, and then the rest of the field. Let's be honest, it was a very mediocre rest of the field. Kvyat 12th, if you're wondering, Kvyat 12th, Jolyon Palmer 13th, finished ahead of Hulkenberg after retiring. Lance Stroll, very very quiet afternoon. Paul di Resta, who obviously hopped in for Felipe Massa, was going okay, but then just retired. I think Justin, you do the tweets for IGP, so that was your tweet, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was an absolutely brilliant tweet about Paul di Resta being brought out of retirement only to be retired back into retirement.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but he probably had a great day. To be honest, though, he probably just had fun turning laps and stuff like that. And also, I bet Sky F1 love the fact that one of their commentators just did an F1 race. Like, that's something that, other production teams can't say. Like, they can bring him in while he's still in the race suit and stuff. Be like, tell us about that
they
race.
Should have had. I tweeted about Martin Brundle being absent. I would have rather listened to him. I would have rather, because Martin Brundle sent a text to Crofty mid-race to say something. So I would have rather Martin just be there text-to-speeching off his phone commentary rather than Crofty and Ant. Because and I like Anthony Davidson's commentator, but without Brundle being there, Crofty just goes to another level of just like, for God's sake. Yes. So I would have rather have had text-to-speech with Brundle. But how funny would it be if Sky actually managed to hook up di Resta commentary mid-race?
Oh my God.
Right, Paul, what can you see? I've got Raikkonen behind me. I think I may have just pissed him off.
God, I wish they did that.
That team, Raikkonen's radio was hilarious.
Who is this guy? Get him out of the way.
but you got to say, though, to respect to di Resta, coming in, only doing what? I think he did 8 laps in quali? In Q1, and then
it is actually very solid.
Only a few seconds off Stroll, and then
it's actually got to be respected very much so. Yeah.
So you got to give him props there, and it just gives him a little blinking of light, maybe of getting a seat, maybe not next year, but maybe in a few seasons' time, just to say, hey, I'm this guy, used to race it, good.
He's still
good
in his 20s, right?
He's in.
I think
he's
so.
31 now.
Oh no, 31.
Is he?
That's on the very old side then, in terms of F1 terms.
He did pretty well though. He's just working at Sky.
No, it was full respects to him.
Just literally at Sky, you've got to commentate, do the casual FP3s and all that, and then gets a call. Yeah, you're in the car, mate. Off you go. And just does a
ironing his shirts in the morning, and then has to put on an overall suit. And then Sauber, quiet afternoon for them. Pascal Wehrlein 15th, Marcus Ericsson 16th place. Although we'll say one interesting bit on Sauber, obviously, is they did officially kind of call off their deal with Honda, and now they will have a multi-year deal with Ferrari. Solid job actually for Vasseur to get that deal done, because it's apparently going to be the actual 2018 Ferrari.
Yeah, the current year. And
so the current year. What does this mean? Giovinazzi or Leclerc? That's going to be.
I personally, I would say, because he's so young, I would personally put Giovinazzi in, and then Leclerc can kind of sit there for at least a year. Do maybe another series somewhere else, because I think he's got the time, whereas Giovinazzi does not have the time. He's 23, so just for the sake of that, I'd rather have him in there. But you can't deny Charles this weekend, from last to fourth. We don't talk too much about F2 on these podcasts, but it just has to be said that at the moment he is slapping F2. It's Formula Leclerc,
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I do agree with you on the fact that I think Giovinazzi will get the seat. I think next year. But who'd you get rid of? You got Wehrlein, who's a talented driver.
Well, Ericsson's not going anywhere, I don't think, because I think one of Sauber's major owners and stakeholders is also a sponsor of Ericsson. So I just don't see that going away. For Wehrlein, it's really unfortunate if he does get the cut, because Mercedes then, they don't, as much as Mercedes can fund his drive somewhere, there's not actually a seat available, really.
See, this is the thing.
Unless Massa retires again.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
You've got
that would actually be ideal.
You've got Massa, obviously may retire. You've got Raikkonen potentially could leave. So could open the door for Perez maybe to go from Force India to Ferrari. There's been huge rumours about it. So you can move
Grosjean.
Or Grosjean as well. So you can move Verline to Force India, the team with Ocon, and then obviously you've got that door open there for.
Although the only qualm on that is Force India have pretty much categorically stated beforehand that they just don't want Verline because they didn't like his attitude. Generally. So
that could open the door for Williams again, but Williams need to have what they've got at the minute: experience and a young un.
Yes, agreed.
So I think Massa. I don't know if he's going to carry on or not. I don't know after this season. Who do they bring in? Verline's not really experienced enough, I feel, yet.
At the same time, though,
not to lead the team, no.
Yeah, not to lead the team, but at the same time, if Massa did leave, we know at this point, really, I think Bottas is a very safe stay at Mercedes. So who would they actually bring in? It's almost like the debate before we found out Massa was coming back. There was that huge debate of who are they actually gonna get before we knew about Stroll? Because in reality, there's not actually many names that you jump straight to for Williams to go for, because they're in that awkward position where it's like they have that thing with Mercedes, but then as you said, them being Williams, they need that sort of older guy with experience to kind of thrust the team forward, because they're not a Sauber, they're not like they've got stuff to lose. They're a very big team in reality, and they need a bit of experience to help them push forward. At the moment, it's not going well, but
to be fair, obviously JB last year was heavily linked with the seat at Williams, and they actually did have talks with them last year, and that would have been pretty nice to have. Obviously for you, Aarav, especially you being a JB fan, you would be very excited about that, but. You never know, could come back next year.
Well, you met him. Can you tell us anything?
Have you got any inside
scoop?
on,
man. Inside scoop. Unfortunately, nothing. I couldn't even tell Ricardo was gonna, have a torrid weekend this time round. Couldn't get any inside knowledge. But I think that's gonna wrap it up, because I feel like we'll just be talking about other stuff really. That was I don't know. What out of 10, guys? What would you give that Hungarian Grand Prix? I think I'm going to go for a solid. I would say 5.
I was thinking 5 too. I was thinking 5 too.
4? 4. Right.
I was on the limit between 4 and 5. I was trying to decide.
There was some.
It was average.
There were some nice moments. It was. I feel like if this was this would be your average 2017 race. I feel like like a few little nice moments, drivers pushing flat out every single lap. Ultimately, dirty air kicks in. But there were a few nice moments to see. Obviously, for me, I think the one that stands out is just Alonso. Great drive from him to get the fast lap. As I said, that's got to be like a lovely headline there. And then obviously, who doesn't love a little bit of controversy with Red Bull? So, as Ryan said, that may be the kind of...
Except for Ryan.
Yeah, except for Ryan and Red Bull fans. That may be the little kind of cinder block in the fire that kicks things off, maybe. So we'll see. We'll see in the season to come. But
on the bright side, we don't have to watch Ryan drink out of his shoe.
That is true. Yeah. That is true. That is true. Good point, Justin. That is a good point. So that's going to be it then, I think, for the Pit Lane podcast, episode number 57. Guys, if you have enjoyed it, hit that like button as usual. Let us know what you thought about anything we've talked about in the comments below. Do check out these guys. Links in the description, and their Twitter handles always above their heads. But this has been the Pit Lane podcast for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We'll see you guys next time for an off-race one. We'll see you guys then. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Goodbye.